Welcome to Don't Chuck It Up, the podcast that takes the stress out of the college search and the application process. I'm your host, Chuck, your friendly college counselor, and today we are talking about price versus prestige. Let me explain. So it is April, and students and families are in the process of deciding where their kid is going to go to college. Remember, you have until May 1st to make your final decision. So there's a lot going on right now where students and parents are trying to figure out what is that last college choice. And let me tell you, I have noticed the comments and the questions in the various Facebook parent groups, on Reddit, on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. And I've noticed some trends. For this year, I have noticed parents asking me, is the prestige worth the price? Let me explain what I mean. So parents will say that they're down to really two places left. One is a more expensive option that is typically, shall we say, a quote-unquote higher ranked college, or maybe a college that is more nationally known, and the other is a different option. It could be the local public university or a private university that may not be as popular or well-known, but parents are really looking at these options and going, is the price worth it for the prestige? And I don't have the exact answer for everybody, but I do have a few things that I want you to think about. So let's go through some of the thoughts that I have brought up with parents when you're getting down to the final couple of colleges and trying to pick which one is going to work best for you. The first and the most important thing is, for that more expensive option, can you actually afford it? Have you looked at what the price is going to be for you to send your student there? And I'm not talking just for the first year, but I'm talking for all 4 years. I'll have a lot of parents say to me, well, Chuck, we can figure it out. And sure, there are ways you can figure it out through getting a private loan or working an additional job or maybe digging into your retirement savings. But is that really the best option for you? Now, some of those questions you need to talk to your own financial advisor to get the best information. But from my viewpoint, having worked with hundreds of students and helping thousands of families over my course as an admissions counselor and as a college counselor, I really want to ask, can you actually afford it? So not changing anything within your life structure, are you able to afford the more expensive college option? And some parents will say, well, yeah, we could stretch, we could change some budgets, we can move it around. But really, can you afford it? And keep in mind that the cost of college will go up typically anywhere from 3 to 6% year after year. So that more expensive option is going to get more expensive every year. Why is this also happening? Well, a lot of parents go, we didn't get a whole lot of money from the college. And I said, well, colleges aren't obligated to meet your need. There are some colleges out there that guarantee to meet your demonstrated financial need. So if you've submitted the FAFSA or the CSS profile and it shows that you qualify for need-based aid, and those colleges say we will guarantee to meet that need, then that might happen. The vast majority of colleges do not guarantee to meet financial need. So parents will say to me, well, my kid got admitted to this amazing place, but we just can't afford it based off of the financial aid package. So colleges aren't obligated to do it. But I also want to say, parents, you aren't obligated to send your kid to a more expensive college. I've had conversations with a few parents recently that said, well, we feel like we're letting our kid down. They'll say, our kid has worked really hard to get the best grades possible, to be involved in extracurriculars, had amazing letters of recommendation, and they got admitted to this really selective institution, typically a private one. And they'll say, we feel like bad parents that we aren't able to afford it because did we do something wrong in the financial planning? And I said, no, some of these colleges just are more expensive. And there aren't the scholarships available for every student, especially if your student is academically towards the top, but your financial situation doesn't demonstrate a whole lot of need. There may not be scholarships or financial aid available to you. But I really don't want parents to feel that we are letting our kid down by not affording the more expensive college. I'll say to you exactly what my father said to me, which is, we can't afford that. There's no way that's going to happen. Let's find a different option. And it still worked out. Yeah, I didn't get to go to the more expensive place that was farther away, but when we looked at everything, it was going to cost a whole lot more. So that is my next point, is make sure that you are comparing costs line item to line item as best you can. The hard part is that colleges and universities don't always publish all of the costs that are needed. They really should, and they're supposed to. But I have looked at some financial aid awards this year where they forgot to factor in things like room and board and technology fees and other things that are mentioned on other parts of the website, but they weren't on the financial aid award, which is a misstep for many of the colleges. So make sure that you are going through and comparing the direct costs. Show the tuition, the average room costs, the average board cost, noting that that could be different based off of which plan your student picks or which type of room your student wants to live in. And those are really the direct costs: the tuition, room, board, and mandatory fees. Now, if your student has one college that's far away and one college that is close by, you may also want to factor in some travel costs for the one that is farther away. What I don't want families to do is look at those indirect costs. So like books and personal expenses. Are you going to furbish your room from William and Sonoma? Or are you going to furbish your room from Target or from the local thrift store? That budget is going to be different for each type of student. So make sure that you are looking at the direct costs that you can compare apples to apples with as best you can. Another thought you may keep in mind is that by choosing the less expensive college, you might go, well, we are not setting our student up for success. And I'm going to disagree with that, because I've had students go to some very, very affordable places, public and private, that have done exceptionally well. And when parents and students ask me about, well, what about going off to graduate school? Well, I've helped students apply to graduate school, and I've talked to many people who work at graduate schools. In fact, some of my past clients have been admissions personnel in law schools and in medical schools, and I've point blank asked them, do you care what college your applicants go to when they are applying for medical school? Do you care what college a student has gone to when they are applying to medical school, law school, MBA, anything like that? And the vast majority of time, the answer is no. It's not where you go. It's what you have done at that college that prepares you for graduate school. So going to a more selective, more prestigious, more expensive undergrad does not guarantee that that is going to prepare you for a better medical school or law school. Going to any medical school is going to prepare you to become a doctor. It doesn't matter what med school you go to. You just have to go to med school. That's the biggest factor. You rarely hear of unemployed doctors unless there's something going on. Law schools might be a little bit different, but people can get a law job from a wide variety of law schools. So don't believe that your undergraduate college directly affects your grad school placement. Again, I've had students go to some very budget-friendly public and private universities who've gone on to amazing graduate schools, med schools, law schools, MBA, PhD, and other types of resources. In fact, many of the med schools and law schools say, we want our students to have had strong experiences with small classes, interacting with faculty, doing research, and many of those opportunities are not at the big name places because some of those are very large public institutions, and it's hard to get involved with faculty at mega institutions that are just jam-packed with students. So sometimes going to a smaller, lesser-known college actually helps you stand out for some of these grad school applications, internships, and job capabilities. Another thought as you're comparing these colleges and what your options are is, could you save money and then save that money for a future purpose? So for example, I have a family who's thinking of going to a much more expensive private institution that the kid got admitted to, amazing, great, farther away, or the student could go to their in-state public institution that they also got admitted to as a great opportunity. The price difference, about $30,000 per year. And I said to them, what if you chose the in-state option, because it's still a great fit academically, socially, and especially financially. And as parents, you basically bank that money and save it up for when your kid graduates from college to prepare them for paying for grad school or putting a down payment on a house or something else. Invest that money is the difference. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but for some families, that could be a reality, and that could actually save you money. Same thing for if your family is low income or first generation, it might be a much better cost benefit for you to be able to stay closer to home and save money that way than to spend more money to send them farther away. Again, every situation is unique and different, and you are more than welcome to message me or comment on this, and I will respond and try and help you out as best I can, because I'm trying to give you some overall general thoughts, but I know that each person's situation is a little bit differently. My worry with some of the parent comments that I've seen on Facebook and on other social media platforms is that the parents are really doing it for the bumper sticker. Parents are saying, well, my kid got admitted to this amazingly awesome selective college that they worked so hard to get into, and I want to basically be able to say I'm the proud parent of a student at XYZ college and put that bumper sticker on my car. Or parents are saying, I want to go around and tell my friends my student got into XYZ college. And I'm nervous about that. Sure, it could open up some doors, and in some situations that might help, but it may not. It also might put you as parents into some significant debt and really eat into your future savings. So are you wanting to send them to this more selective, more expensive place because you as the parent want to have the bumper sticker, or you as the parent want to have the sweatshirt that says I'm a proud mom or dad of a student at XYZ college or institution? Are you living vicariously through your kid? Not saying you are, but think about that. Another topic that comes up is the idea about major. And parents will comment or post or ask me, what is the best college for this particular major? I have two thoughts on this. One is most undergraduate programs, as far as the major, are not ranked. The vast majority are not ranked. Grad schools are ranked, colleges as a whole are ranked, but the undergraduate major themselves is usually not ranked. So I don't know where some of you are getting this quote-unquote ranking information about the majors and what's going on, but that's not a thing. The grad schools are, but maybe not the undergrads. And then the second one, and this is because I have worked on college campuses, I've helped students, and I've stayed connected with students for well past their college years, their major is going to change. And I know that makes both students and parents really nervous. Because parents are saying, well, we are investing in your education and we want to make sure that you are prepared for a great job after college. But the kid's not going to have their first job until 4 or 5 years from now. And parents, think to yourselves, if you look back to when you were 17, are you doing exactly what you had planned to do at age 17 now? For some of you, you are. Kudos to you. Bravo, great job. Most parents are not. Most parents change the major. Most students change the major. So if you're picking a more selective or more expensive college because it quote unquote has the best major for my student, be very cautious about that. I've watched students go off to those types of places, get involved in the college, and then change their major, change their mind, hate the location, and then promptly have to switch schools in the middle of the first year. Remember, we always see information about students heading off to college right after high school, we rarely hear follow-up as to whether did they graduate from that college? Were they successful? Did they switch their major? So if you're worried about picking a college based off of the major, you really should have multiple majors at a college that could potentially work for you. Because sometimes the path changes, especially if your student is starting in a pre-program. So pre-engineering, pre-business, pre-something where they have to apply into the major. They may not. It may not work. I'm sorry. You need to have a plan B. Because those pre-preparation programs, the pre-nursing, pre-engineering, pre-business, are very selective for many of the colleges to get into the actual major. And also, that may add an additional year onto your college experience. So as you're looking and thinking between what college is going to fit you best, price versus prestige, I'm oftentimes now telling families, pick the less expensive option that still fits. Now, I didn't say the cheapest option. I said the less expensive. For some families, the cheapest option would be a community college or a local public university that just isn't the right fit. It might financially be the cheapest thing available, but when you look at the academic fit and the social fit, it's just a no-go. So don't look at that one. Find colleges that are a good fit financially, academically, and socially, but may not be the most expensive. Easiest thing I have my students and parents do is make a spreadsheet of all of your colleges, all the costs direct, remember tuition, room, board, and fees, things that the college can directly bill you for, and then potentially looking at some travel costs if we're talking some great distances from home to the college. And look and see what the costs are. Remember, the cost of college is going to go up every year, anywhere from 3 to 6%. Factor that into your budget. Factor in that your kid might switch their major. Factor in that the kid may end up going on study abroad. They may have other experiences. The other thing is there are hidden costs to colleges. So if you are at the max of your potential budget, so if the college is going to cost you $40,000 a year and the parents are like, that is really straining our budget, what's going to happen if a financial issue comes up and maybe the student wants to go on a special trip, or they decide to join a Greek organization or fraternity sorority where there's an additional cost, or they do something else at the college that has an additional cost? If you're already maxed out on your budget, that makes me a little bit nervous. One final thought is I don't believe this should only just be the parents with the skin in the game. Students should also have skin in the game for paying for college. Yes, the loans are a possibility. The federal direct Stafford loan program allows students to take out $5,500 for their first year, and that is really the max for the first year. If you want loans beyond that, you're going to look at loans that parents have to sign, and those can have very high interest rates. But I also believe that students should be working. I know parents are thinking, but their primary job is to go to college. Yes. And as part of going to college is building their resume and their job skills for life after college. I worked literally from week 1 of college. I worked in the admissions office, no surprise there. But I saw a poster on the wall that said, "Do you love to talk? Do you love this college? Come talk to admissions." And that started the journey that I've been on for a very long time and still working with admissions and connected to admissions. But a campus job can really help. It makes the students get some job skills, takes some responsibility, fills up some of that nebulous free time during college that would you rather have them working or playing video games? I'm going to choose working. Now, they should also be involved in clubs, organizations, but the life of a college student is 24/7. They will have time to work. And working on campus can mean anywhere from 5 to 10 hours. That's not much. And it helps. Also, I really believe that students should have a job the summers before they go to college. And even the summer during college. My dad was gung-ho that every summer I needed to have a plan. I needed to be working. And I did. I earned anywhere from, $3,000 to $6,000 or $7,000 working while going to school during the school year and then working during the summers. So help your kids figure out how to get some employment that's typically not working for mom and dad. You need to help them find jobs that they can do in the summer. And I know they're like, well, I want to hang out with friends and I want to do travel. Yep. But you also can find time for a job. You're helping them build their resume, their job skills, and their accountability to others. So consider your kid getting a job for the summer as well as a part-time job while they are in college. Believe me, it's going to help them in the long run. So as you think about this price versus prestige conundrum, really reflect. You may need to make a pro-con list for academic fit, social fit, location fit, and then making a spreadsheet of costs for financial fit. Don't forget to factor in the direct costs, tuition, room, board, fees, and then possibly something for travel. Reminder, the colleges are not obligated to meet what you need financially, so you may have to adjust to figure out which college is going to best fit you financially. You may need to attend something that costs a little bit less so that you can bank some money for graduate school, especially if you're thinking about med school or law school, because there isn't a ton of financial aid available for those opportunities. So you may want to start banking that now. Parents, reflect and think, is your kid picking this college because you wanted to have that experience, or is the kid picking that college because that is the best experience for them to have? My biggest reminder to everyone, the major will change. 9 out of 10 times, it's going to change. Some students will change within the first couple of weeks of being at college. Be prepared for a place where it gives them an opportunity to change their major. And parents, support your kids when they decide they want to change their major. And my last big tip that I wish everyone could remember, the ranking of your undergraduate college does not have a direct impact on your future in the world. Just doesn't. I hope this has been helpful for all of you. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it, share it, comment it. You can find more episodes just like this one on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and don't forget to find the videos on YouTube. You can also find me on TikTok as well. Please direct message me or comment on something if you would like to chime into this conversation, or if you have a topic that you would like me to cover in a future episode. I am doing this because for the past 25 years, I've enjoyed being both an admissions counselor and now a college counselor, and I love helping students and parents navigate the college search and application process with ease, clarity, and peace of mind. So please reach out with your questions and your comments, share this with a friend, and finally remember, thanks for listening to Don't Chuck It Up. Subscribe for more college admissions guidance, and I'll be back next week. Until then, remember, don't chuck it up.